Well, good evening, friends and neighbors, Chiefs Kingdom, and everybody who's checking it out. Want to say hello. We're going to talk some Chiefs tonight. I appreciate you guys being with us. Try to get my head on straight tonight. We have tons to talk about. Kudos to Dan for doing the post-game video last night. Whenever there's a primetime game, I'm really bogged down right afterwards doing the podcast and all my league commitments. So I try to get into that right away, and Dan's able to put some video up that lets us get something out right away. So this is normal for us to do on a Monday night, but this will be a quick Q&A session. We'll see how many folks actually join tonight. If you're new around here, make sure you hit the sub and the like and the bell notification. We usually do this the day after a game where I just answer your questions. Tonight brought to you by not a sponsor, but just ingesting Grand Teton Brewing, their brown ale. It's called Bitch Creek, and some days I am. See that you guys are starting to get in here and you have questions already. So we'll just jump in and get started. The dude asked, any word on Snead? He almost snagged another interception last night and continues to look amazing. It'd be a big blow if he's out. He will be out. I don't have anything concrete yet that I can report, but it is an injury to the shoulder area. I'm hoping that it's not a fractured clavicle. That is an injury that will keep him out quite a while. You have a number of things that can happen. And I'll just show you here. Your clavicle comes and attaches to the sternum and out to your shoulder, into that joint. You have ligaments on either end of it. You can sprain any of those. If you actually fracture the bone, that makes things a little bit harder because the shoulder joint itself is not inherently stable. And so the ligaments and the bone structure of the clavicle actually help keep it together. It's a significant injury the more that it has to float on its own. So let's hope that it is a ligamentous issue and it will get squared away with rehab, much like we saw Tyreek Hill last season, the year before when he did his. You're looking for an AC joint sprain. That's what you're hoping for in terms of the shortest amount of time to return to action. Mar made a pregame comment that he didn't have to worry about Mahomes. His defense did. I think he's looking at it wrong. Isn't his job to score? It is. And Jimmy, you have a good point, but you also have to understand that if he's looking over his shoulder, or in this case, if it were Mahomes looking over his shoulder and Lamar's running for touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, he doesn't need to be distracted by what the other team's quarterback is doing. His job is to pay attention to their defense and to beat their defense. And so really it is a question of focus. Is he zeroed in on his job, not worrying about the other quarterback? And that's what he was trying to say. I don't know that that's the truth, but that's what you want to hear if you're a coach. Ryan Strange, how are you? Do you view the game as a game the defense will look back on later in the year that sparked them becoming a formidable defense? I think this will be one where they look back and say this legitimized us as a formidable defense. I think they started that process back in Mexico City last year, and you saw them progress. And it took a couple of weeks, some sloppy tackling, that kind of thing, little hiccups, right? But this is where they buckled back down, got back to that progression that they began in the postseason last year. And so I think this is reaffirmation of what they can be rather than the start of it. You know what I mean? So that's what I think they'll look back at. Casey, how bad is his knee hurt? He'll definitely be back for the playoffs unless it's something that's really got a big complication. Even a fracture, he should return by then. It's usually ligaments 4-6 weeks, something like that. A fracture can go 8 to 10, possibly on the outside. It's also important to remember that I don't have any information about him. He's not my patient. I can't tell you anything specific. It really is very, very varied. It's a good way to put it. It's extremely varied on this particular injury of how bad something can be. You could see him kind of grabbing at his throat. I thought maybe he had landed on the ball and kind of like giving himself a little crush of the throat or whatever, knocked the wind out of himself. So I'm hoping what that means is that it's the ligament here on the sternum. If it's a sternal ligament and it's not overly destroyed, as long as it's still intact and it's just a sprain, he should be back in a couple of weeks and be ready to go, which puts them at full strength when Breezy's back. So I thought Javarius Ward came in and played some good snaps, and I thought Fenton played good. Even with the threat of Orlando Brown, of Marquise Hollywood Brown over the top, the Chiefs corners that were in played a good game. Snead did before he got hurt as well. So I thought that was really encouraging overall. I know I missed a super chat. I forgot to tell you guys the super chats are open. Feel free if you want to help out the channel, leave us a couple of bucks, whatever you like, but please ask a question so I can get you something for it. I'm going to keep scrolling, and I'm going to try to keep the answers tight tonight so I can get to everybody. Casey, what's with Louis Riddick in the booth last night talking that the Ravens and bashing the Chiefs as if he were crushing their dreams? It's trying to look impartial. It's trying to play both sides. We all know that he gave Pat the Ferrari name and that he's been in Pat's corner for a very long time. We all know that he worked for Andy Reid. He was trying to make sure that he didn't appear as if he was playing favorites. I think that's it. Not a big deal. Okay, let's see here. Cole, did you hear the Titans had to shut down their team facility this today for 3 players and 5 personnel tested positive for COVID? Good thing we ain't them. Well, yes, but here's the thing. They played somebody last week. They're going to play somebody this week if the NFL has anything to say about it. That's going to spread it around the league as teams play each other. This is really going to be a big experiment about how the league's protocols as built are going to protect other teams and keep the spread from going on. I'm not sure what's going to happen, to tell you the truth. 3 can become 30 real fast, and it can be on the other team as well. So, this is something we're going to have to play by ear and see what happens. Oregon Chief Chris, any news on Jones' groin pull? The D also looks last season form. I agree with you with late season form. Nothing specific. Now, this is a day when they come in and they get treatment and they get seen a little bit. Diagnosis goes on, et cetera, et cetera. We should hear more late tomorrow or Wednesday is what I'm thinking. So when I know, I'll let you guys know. Is Darwin Thompson a liability? In some ways. I mean, don't let one fumble make you nervous. It was inopportune. I'll tell you that. But I don't think that cast doubt on his ability overall. And I will tell you guys this. We'll have the stats tomorrow. We'll have film breakdown. Everything's going to be compressed, but we will have all the content for you this week before they get ready for Cam and the Patriots. That's coming as well. Dan's on board. Danilo will have the regular tailgate video. I hope you guys are liking that one. Everybody's got a little bit different personality. Don't hold it against everybody if they're not as specific as I am. So just kind of let it roll. Enjoy what these guys got. We've got a lot of other ideas coming for you too. So I hope that you guys dig it. Let's see. Jacob. How did Willie Gay and Juan Thornhill play? Juan played decent. He was a touch late on that touchdown. He was a touch late on a couple other plays, and I think that's just about a little bit of recognition rust and a little bit of planting and going. He looks like he's playing at about 90% to me. I don't think that's a problem either. I think that's normal. You've heard other players talk about they didn't really feel all the way back to 100% until like 2 seasons out from their injury. So look for 2021 to be when Juan Thornhill is like 100% balling. But he had some opportunities. I think he got closer to getting his hands on a ball last night than he did the week before, and I think he'll continue to improve. Think Darwin Thompson gets moved to the practice squad and Washington moved up. I actually don't. I don't think Eric Bieniemy in particular, but the coaching staff in general are going to hold it against him. I think it's going to be a learning point. If it becomes a habit, if it happens again, then I think it will. I think honestly, I think Darryl was playing, but not 100% either. And I think they're going to look to get Darryl more involved so long as he came in unscathed. Steve, are the Chargers and Bengals making mistakes by throwing their rookie QBs into the fire? I don't think the Chargers are. They don't have a choice, and quite frankly, he's a kid that needs some fire. He's kind of a groovy, laid-back dude. I scouted him a lot before the draft, and I liked Justin Herbert. I had him as the number 2 quarterback in this class, and I think that pressure is something he personally will respond well to. Joe Burrow, he's a consummate. He's as competitive as Pat Mahomes is. I'll tell you that. That guy will only get better. The only caveat I have about either of them is that with their offensive lines, I don't care about them making mistakes. I care about them getting hurt by their offensive lines, and I'm not sure either of them are a line that I would be personally comfortable with. Mr. Porter, how are you? You've got lots of questions. I am hanging in. Thank you very much. I'm a little bit wore out, but hey, we're getting it done. Let's start here. How did the O-line and PM do so well when Baltimore blitzed? Honestly, it's about pre-snap recognition. Pat figured it out and was able to communicate to the line. Now, they sent some overloads late. They are known to do that. When they even went in cover 0 a couple times, which threw me. That's just not smart against the speed the Chiefs have on the outside. But it was about communication. It was about Darryl staying in, caught a couple of real good blocks. Clyde had 1 or 2 as well. And it's about Pat was on pace. Pat was quick. Pat was not drifting back in the pocket. He was getting the ball out, and that was really what was paying off. Do you think it gave the Chiefs an advantage not having to deal with the Ravens crowd? Maybe a little bit, but I don't remember the Ravens crowd ever giving anybody, heart attacks either where they couldn't run their offense. So that might be a little overblown. Chris, how many short kickoffs do you expect to see the rest of the year after giving up the first touchdown in Andy's tenure? Yeah, it's not something that I would have done. They do have recognized talent on the other side. I think you'll see it again. I just don't think it's going to be very often. Jacob, what made the defense better this week? Details. They were consistent. They tackled well. They communicated. They moved around. Damian Wilson, that PBU in the middle of the field on Andrews, that was an effort play. That was being in the right place and making that extended effort that got it done. I was really happy to see that out of him. If you guys missed my tweet, I think I tweeted at him and I said, I didn't know that you could do that. So more power to him. Steven, why aren't we getting the push we need in short yardage? Would a shiftier back alleviate the problem? No, not necessarily. The problem with the play calls and the two that you're talking about were the short yardage. It's because they just ran inside. The Chiefs have a finesse line for the most part, except for Osemele. He changes the formula a little bit. But for the most part, they're a finesse line. They're a zone blocking line. Getting them to dig in and blow defenses off the ball is not what they do. They're not a power gap kind of scheme team. They do it when they have to or when they can, but it's not their bread and butter. So it's going to be a problem. Now, I was teasing Jeff Schwartz online a little bit, trying to get him to maybe come on the show, and I would like to ask him that, to tell you the truth. And if I can get Jeff on the show, we'll definitely talk about the difference about how you go into something that maybe isn't your strength, but how you still got to try to get it done too. So it's going to be fun. Why do you think that Tobin Buckhacker had Butker kick to Baltimore? Do you think that they will kick to anyone else? I think they felt like their coverage was on par. I think if you see another team that maybe isn't the best at blocking but has some speed, you might see that again. Duvernay is a rookie. They knew he was back there, so maybe they underestimated him a little bit as well. How long is Snead going to be out for? My guess is going to be a month, but I just don't know yet. We'll find out when they announce. What were your thoughts on Fish caught the TD pass? Man, on my Twitter timeline is something that Jeff Schwartz actually put out that Orlovsky did on ESPN about how he checked into that. That was the biggest part of that play. Now, there are a lot of people, everybody I know that's been able to go to practice, all the beat writers, talk about this drill that they do where the linemen catch passes. Osemele catches passes too, by the way, and has pretty dang good hands from what I hear. And they do that all in case of emergency. And I thought it was well scripted how he got in there without making it obvious. Because it's one thing when you report, the refs have to tell the defense that you're reporting. It doesn't necessarily have to be announced over the loudspeakers, but they have to tell the defense. But there's a difference between telling the defense, especially the defensive captain, and hoping that he disseminates it to everyone, versus walking up to the ref and saying, hey, I'm going to check in as eligible. Then the whole defense can visually see you. It puts it in your mind a little bit. So I think it was smart. And I think the devil is the details is what I said on Twitter. And I think that's absolutely true. Chief Rocca, how are you, man? Can they? Technically, sure. Will they? I just don't see it. I don't see any team going undefeated. It's too close on any given Sunday anymore. So no, I don't think they will. But yes, they definitely could. Jerry, the Falcons say they're sticking with Quinn, but he's was overheard saying that they should have signed Eric Bieniemy last season. He was saying that? I didn't hear that. Yeah, I mean, and for Chiefs Kingdom, hope that the Falcons come after Eric Bieniemy, because if they don't, the Denver Broncos will. The Denver Broncos like him. He played at Colorado. He's from Colorado. I hear constantly around here, and I live in Colorado, for those of you who don't know. I hear constantly around here about how they want Eric Bieniemy back. I don't know if Vic Fangio is going to survive. And that's, I thought at first that he was going to have a good enough season where he would. But if they fire Fangio, they're going to be coming after Eric Bieniemy. D-Rob with only one target. Harbin had good catches. Does Harbin start next week, Ryan? I don't know. I mean, technically, he is a starter. He's one of the top 3 receivers. I don't think they listed Robinson ahead of him in this game. Maybe I missed it, Jeff. I don't know. But yeah, this is the way it should have been in terms of targets. He only played 39% of the snaps. I have to pull that up here, and I'll take another look because I do believe he outsnapped Demarcus Robinson, but I don't believe it was like a huge margin, and I am absolutely wrong. Robinson played 41 snaps. Hardman played 29. So they still feel like, especially for the blocking aspect, I think they like Robinson a lot too. They'll bring him in and attach to the line sometimes as that extra blocker, and I think that that's something that they like and they've seen working for them. Donnie, how are you? Is it me or did Williams get that first down when they spotted him short? I thought he did too. I have not watched that on all 22 yet, though. Hopefully that gives me a better idea. But yeah, I thought he made it as well. Damon, do you think the Chiefs broke the Ravens? I don't. I think they have a strong coaching staff. I think they have guys with pride. I think they have good veteran leadership to go with their, extreme talent, young guys. I think they're going to be fine. I think the Chiefs are just a team that they're going to struggle to beat. They're going to have to be physical with the Titans too. And there's just some of those matchups the teams just have that are tough for them. I think that's what this is. Josh O'Neill, do you think they need to focus on run blocking? I like to see it myself because I think a little extra practice actually makes that. I think it makes run blocking drastically better fairly quickly. And I think the Chiefs' offensive line is built to pass block, and they did a very good job of that. So I don't think it's going to be a priority for the coaching staff. Nathan Altick, O-line looked better with Remmer in there at right guard. Think that Wiley, I'm not sure what you're saying. You might be saying, should Wiley not return as a starter? And while that may have been true in the past game, I thought Remmer did his job. He was not very good in the run game. I didn't see any movement from his guys. Wiley gets some of that movement. So it's more of a balance with Wiley. I think Remmers is specifically a pass blocker. And quite frankly, I'm not sure Remmers is fit to play 100% of the snaps all season long. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think Wiley will get that job back. Ian, thank you as always. Biggest supporter here. And folks, this is a good time. Let me show you. These are all the people that have been supporting the channel. These are the August contributors. And I appreciate every last one of you guys. And there will be more. There will be another banner that I'll do here when we're done with this month. This will be the last stream of this month, so we'll get to it. But Ian is one of those folks. Thank you, Ian. May not have ran as much as you'd like, but I'm sure you like the Sherman and Fish TDs. Yes, I do. We did play bully. Maybe Andy is listening to you after all. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It literally, he got creative, and he got creative in a way that wasn't just finesse, and that's what I liked. The shuffle to Sherman was awesome. I mean, it looked like he was bowling the way that Mahomes delivered that ball. And it's just a great design. It's taking advantage of the thing. Sherman's a great pass catcher. We all know that. But if they ran him out and tried to split him out and run him on a wheel again, that it's something that's been seen on tape. So again, he came up with another new wrinkle. And I've heard a lot of people talking today about how Andy emptied the playbook. No, he didn't. He threw a lot of new things out there, and in that way he did flex. I agree with you. Play the bully a little bit. I didn't think it was terrible, to tell you the truth. I think they should have gone to 40 and kept the foot down a little bit longer. But don't worry, though. There is plenty left in the tank in terms of new tips and tricks Andy Reid can figure out, and he's definitely going to use it all. Thanks again, Ian. Tactics, how are you? Is Mahomes weak to Seahawks cover 3, or is Andy? It's a bit of both. And the Seahawks cover 3 is going to be a little bit different than Gus Bradley's version in Los Angeles. It's not quite as experienced, and quite frankly, it's not quite as aggressive as I remember. I'll take a look at their film before we get closer eventually. But the cover 3 is a challenge because it keeps everything in front of them. And I do think that you're going to see cover 4 as the season wears on too, because that's another defense that is hard to, combat, and it's not as predictable as 3. So it's about the disguising. I think Patrick's getting better at figuring out ahead of time and hitting the seams where you have to attack the 3. Gary, can the O-line keep doing that as last night all year? I certainly hope so. As long as they stay coordinated and they come out intense, I think they can. Tactics. So Aaron Rodgers proved he can throw the no-look pass. Okay. Now he has to see if he can throw the underhanded. I'm pretty sure that he can. I don't think that's too tall in order for Aaron Rodgers, to tell you the truth. Casey, are you worried about the Patriots? Not so much worried as I'm treating them with a lot more respect than I would have before the season. I am not a huge proponent of last-minute quarterback changes, whether that's during a week or particularly during a season. So the fact that Cam Newton got signed so late, I didn't expect them to be able to roll everything together so quickly. And I've been critical of Josh McDaniels in the past, particularly when he was a head coach here in Denver. Wasn't impressed with his tenure here. He has definitely improved the way that he adapts to his players when he went back to New England, became a coordinator again. So kudos to him. He has continued to develop as a coach in changing his offense to match his player. And if Cam can stay healthy, he's going to be formidable. Now, that said, if Cam wants to try to take it and run, just like Lamar, he's going to make a few plays. He's going to get hit a lot. Chiefs defense is going to hit him, and I think that's a recipe that's good for them, bad for him, and isn't one that's going to take a whole lot of time to pay some dividends. The more you hit Cam, the more likely it is you're going to hurt him, because I don't think, despite his foot being better, that he's somebody at his age that is impervious to injuries. So make it a physical game as far as I'm concerned if I'm the Chiefs. Thornhill looked a lot better. Willie Gay got his ankles broke pretty good too. Yeah, but you know what? Welcome to the NFL. And I think that's what I said, meet Lamar Jackson. Everybody's got to do that. He played a few more snaps this week. I think he played 9 on defense. It was up from 6 the week before. So it's a 50% increase. But certainly you saw what happened with Patrick Queen, who was a linebacker that was not only taken well above Willie, but was more highly regarded in terms of his prowess on film. And you saw just how much he got destroyed, particularly in the pass game. So I wouldn't be too worried about Willie. He's going to take his time to get into groove, and he's going to be fine. I just don't think it's going to be right now kind of thing. Tactics. Rank the following: Wilson, Robinson, DeAnthony, and Chris Conley. Well, let's see. Who is explosive? Who was consistently explosive? Who did their job? For me, it's going to be Wilson, Conley, Dat, Robinson. Dat only that low because a lot of his stuff was done not as a receiver. Handoffs, returns, that kind of thing. Chris is an underachiever. I still like his game, but we saw him in Jacksonville last week, and it didn't look good. So I want to see him continue to progress his career. And Albert Wilson, you have to give him credit. He definitely developed. He hasn't had the success post Kansas City that he would like, but you got to give him credit. Bono, how are you? If you can't see this, I'm going to tell you to go over to Clyde Brewing and tell him I sent you. I like that place a lot. Does Juan still have a little gun shy from the injury as far as his aggressiveness? Yeah, I think so. If it's not necessarily being gun shy. I think it's just a little bit slow reaction time, just still a little bit of rust he's working off of there to really get on his horse and move. But I think that's going to come off as we go through the season. I'm not too worried, Pono. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad that you're sponsored by a product that I really like, Pepsi. Yeah, the Locked On Chiefs podcast, the whole network, we are now sponsored by a bunch of big companies. And that is that's a good thing for the bottom line. They're not sponsoring this channel yet, though, so this is still the other outlet. So Pepsi, if you're watching, we can talk a deal here. Let's see. I like the linebacker play, Ryan. What did you see? I did as well, most particularly because they were in the right places. I didn't see guys blowing run fits, and I didn't see guys missing tackles, and that's the two things that I cannot stand. On the plus side, you got that PBU from Damian Wilson. Kudos to him. I seriously didn't think that he had that kind of coverage in him. It was a tight end behind him, and good for him. And you got a really nice behind the line of scrimmage play from Anthony Hitchens. Was that enough to make up for the last couple of weeks? Probably not, but it's definitely trending in the right direction. And if they can attack the ball, Anthony still got caught in the hole a couple times standing there rather than attacking the ball carrier. I still want to see that change, but it was an improvement, Jeff, and I think that's what's important. Do you think Ward would have had the interception if he didn't have the club? Nathaniel, I definitely do, and I think he's in kind of a hurry to get that off, to tell you the truth. Kyle, do you think the linebackers played much better? Yes, I do. All the way around, even Neiman as well. And again, it's about not blowing your assignment. Didn't see the missed tackles and didn't see guys completely scampering in the run game. There was one or two here or there, but a lot of those were on broken tackles, not on missed assignments. Tactics. Colin Coward had the most boomer take on Mahomes in 2018. I like the quarterback who looks at the person they pass to. I bet if it were the 80s, he'd complain about Magic Johnson's no-look pass. Yeah, he probably would. That's interesting. That tells the defense where you're throwing the ball, too. So, I don't know. There's no reason to listen to Colin Coward about anything. So, don't waste your time. I see the Pats really attacking our linebackers with their backs. Your thoughts? I think that they can. I think Rex had a good day last week. We still have Sony. It just doesn't seem like it's the same priority. I think it's just running through the quarterback. I'm more concerned about the RPOs and Cam tucking it and breaking loose, because unlike Lamar, he doesn't have the same top end speed, but he can take more collisions. And I think the Chiefs have to bring that to him and Clyde. Some say that throwing a touchdown to Fish was disrespectful. What do I say? I say stop him. That's you're there to win the game. If it's a 50-yard bomb to McCole Hardman or a 5-yard throw to a tackle, I don't really think that it matters. If they feel disrespected, good, do something about it. Fix your defense. That's what I would say if it were reversed. I don't really get into opinion that much. The players understand. The players were really respectful and understand how well they executed. And the players understand that it's your job to stop them. If you don't, then there's no excuses for them scoring points. Pono Remmers looks like he brings a lot more than Wiley. He brings a lot more experience. In the past game, that really paid off. He doesn't bring the power, and he doesn't bring it in the run game. So it is a trade-off. There's a reason that Clyde didn't run for as much as you'd hoped last night. Oh, hey, yeah, good point, Finn. I heard that announcement too. Good for them. Have you any word on the severity of Snead's injury? I don't. I talked about that a little bit earlier. You can check that out, David. Ian, also, who makes more of an impact on our O-line? To our O-line, i.e. better, Remmers or Wiley? Did Remmers make a push to take Wiley's spot? I mean, he made them feel real comfortable if somebody has to miss, but I do think that they miss the power and the nastiness. Remmers is a finesse player. Wiley's a power player. He has that nasty edge. I think they want that. So I don't think it's a permanent thing, but I think maybe the leash got a little bit shorter. But I don't think it's anything imminent. Put it that way. Jamie, can you do film on Tedrick Thompson? I can. I think Dan's actually going to do the defense this week because I did defense a couple weeks in a row. But yeah, I can try to throw some out. I hope you caught the little bit I did on Taco last week along with Snead. He really did. And he actually had a couple of nice reps this last game as well. I'll try to take a look at Tedrick. Because it's a short week, we're going to compress everything in. So it's going to be a little bit of stuff here and there. I'll try to include that, Jamie. Let's see. Ryan, better QB Wilson versus Holmes this year. On the entirety of the year, Wilson so far. Yesterday, it was Mahomes, clearly. So week 3, certainly. And I think at the end of the year, I'll still take Mahomes. I like that NFL 100 commercial where they're talking to each other. So I'll take either of them. Congrats on the new baby. Thoughts on how the Chiefs match up with Pats? I haven't looked at the Pats film from yesterday yet. But it's going to be about controlling the line of scrimmage, not allowing Cam to get loose, and what you do with your offense. I like that Andy controlled the tempo a little bit better. Everybody wasn't in a rush last night, and I think he and Pat are coming to that conclusion that they want to maintain control. I think that's good. Comment on the LB play and the D playing the bully role. I love it, both. Talked about the linebackers. The D has to, and I think again, this is the game that they're going to look back on and say this is where we picked up the pace again from where we finished 2019. Why does Patrick Thompson really look good as a nickel? Because he's played some nickel. He's played some safety. He played in that Seattle defense that required him to move around quite a bit and play in zone. So he's got that kind of feel for it. I really like him better playing a little bit freer rather than manned up. I like what Fenton did, and I think Fenton will be the nickel when Breezy gets back, and then when Snead comes back, it's going to be free for all. Matt, if Ward doesn't have a cast, does he get that in? Yes, he does. Do we give Bo Pete a shot or do we bring in a free agent? I really don't know. They brought him up and then they put him back down. I think my guess is that he's going to hang in there and they're going to bring him back up. And they're going to roll with Hamilton, who looked like he was moving okay last night. That's my thought, Pono. What about Breland? What do you about Breland and Ward coming back and almost getting the pick on broken hand and Dirty Dan playing LB again? They played a lot of 4 safety last night. I'm don't know if I'm going to chart it, but I know that I'm going to show at least one of those plays. Yeah, like they felt like they weren't going to get the power run for some reason, which if I were the Ravens, that's what I would have done, but they felt like they could go light. And so Dan did play linebacker quite a bit. Breland will be back. Ward will get his cast off eventually, and they'll be rolling, especially when Snead gets back. Man, I'm falling behind you guys. I'm going to start speeding up here. Let's see. Maximo, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Thoughts on Big Mike Pennell coming back? I thought he showed up a couple of times. Same question from Adam. I thought he put in some good snaps. What did he play? He only played 18 snaps, but he showed up a couple of times, so I thought that was a pretty good ratio. What do you think the NFL will postpone games because of the Titans 8? I think it's did it get updated to 8 positive cases? Wow. I think they should. I don't know if they will. I think most likely they're going to push it back to Monday night and see if they can get away with it. FaZe, do you think Neiman is a starter and you think he can make a better progression? If not, I think he is not, and I think he needs to continue to progress. Big Chief Sean, what's up, buddy? Folks, if you don't follow Sean, go check out his channel as well. He does stuff completely different from me, and he's honestly a man of the people. You're going to dig his stuff. Do you think Snead gets a defensive rookie of the year? I think he has a shot at it, Sean. I'm really going to be interested to see how long he's out, but if he continues the way, I mean, he got hurt on a play where he nearly had another pick. So if he continues to play that way, I think he's going to be great. He might actually be better than I even thought that he could be. And I was like the highest person on him pre-draft ever. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Do you think that Patrick Mahomes' daughter will be the first NFL female player? Maybe. Or you might get PM3. I don't know. Let's see. Thoughts on the quarterback situation without Snead, but with Breland coming back. Breland's not back for another week, Arian. They have to play without him against the Patriots. So Fenton and Ward on the outside. Let's see. Tyron played like 60% in the nickel. That's going to continue. So there's your 3 corners. That means Tedrick Thompson's going to play along with Dan in the box. There's your dime. So I don't think they have to do anything drastic. Sexy accident. That sounds like a good night out. Did Bucker seem shaky all game, or was it just me? Yeah, I think he got a little thrown off by the PAT. And that kind of like got into his head a little bit, I think. How long is Sanders out? Snead, I think you mean. I'm not sure about Sanders. Don't know yet. Maybe 4 weeks. I'm hoping 4 weeks. Let me put it that way. Do you think the Chiefs can go 16-0 with a win against the Patriots, and if the NFL does not postpone their games? I'm going to say no. I don't think any team's really built to go completely undefeated. So I'm going to say it's a long shot and take the conservative route. Thank you. I'll take the under. Thoughts on the Sasha scoring a TD? It might be my favorite play of 2020. You never know. We're going to have to see what else happens. I love that they did it, and the fact that it wasn't just as disappointed as I was in setting him up for that 4th down dive that didn't go anywhere. I thought the creativeness of using him inside in that shovel pass was great. We don't know yet. We should find out by Wednesday. Why not? 88. Is Taco working himself into the starter role opposite Clark? Rotation understood by Carviana rule. A larger role, yes. A starting role, I don't think so. I think he and Deanna are still going to be the backups, and they're just going to rotate in. And that's perfectly fine. They all played a number of snaps. Tano with 46. Let's see. Deanna came in at 24. Taco at 14. So that might start to even out a little bit, but I don't think it's like a starting role or anything. Adam, what should the final score really have been? Honestly, it should have been like, what did it, 34? So add 14. It should have been 38. 13 is what it should have been. Thoughts on why butt kicker missing? I don't know. I think he just maybe got rattled. That's exactly what I was saying before, that you can't count on somebody to continue to do what they've done just because they did it. Every week in the NFL, something can go wrong and anybody can win on any given Sunday. That's why they say that. And as good as he was the week before, he got a little rattled and made some mistakes. He'll get those ironed out, but nobody's perfect. What are your thoughts on Tyron's performance? He's the man. Not only is he a leader, but he's putting it out on the field too. I like how they're using him, moving him all over. He's got to play nickel for now, but he'll be back in the robber as much as they can get him there. Maximo, thoughts on butt kicker? Oh, I already answered that one. Sorry about that. Alex Ball, do you think Patrick's daughter will be okay? I got that one too. Harry, how are you? His status is still unreleased. We don't know. What I'm hearing is they ran a couple of tests today and they haven't told anybody what they found. So I don't know. I'm hoping for ligament damage, and that should be, especially if it's just a ligament sprain, it should be fairly quick, few weeks. Nathan Altick, why isn't Pringle getting more snaps than just short yardage situations? Honestly, that's a good question. I would like to see him play more. I think he deserves to play more. And quite frankly, if there's one more drop by Demarcus Robinson, I think he will play more. Active thoughts on Taco's game. I thought he put in some good snaps. I think he's got a ways to go against the run, but I think he's coming along and starting to give them what they want. Eric, what do you think of Clyde Edwards-Lair performance, both pass and rush? I think he took what they gave him. I thought he looked really good in the pass game. I think there were a couple opportunities to get him the ball that didn't happen. Or he might have gone for 100. And I think when they stack the box like that, not only for the pass rush, it stops the run as well. I thought Clyde put in some really good job gaining yards when he didn't really have them. You know what I mean? He ground some stuff out. So I was really happy with his performance. Do you think the Chiefs exposed the Ravens defense? Maybe a little bit, but not everybody has the speed the Chiefs do, and nobody else has the arm that the Chiefs do. So it's a little hard to say that for sure. Do you remember the Master P song, Make Them Say, oh? I do not. Sorry. I was probably listening to Garth Brooks if I remember right. So that's the way I go. Let's see. Steven Concepcion, do you like the combination of Taco and Frank on the edges? Do you think Dana will eventually become a starter? I think he could. I think Dana's doing everything they're asking him. And I think Tano's ahead of Taco right now. But that's okay. I don't think that's a problem. I think the rotation is there, and I think that's what's really helping this team. Did you guys hear the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, you think, Will? I certainly hope so. Lowlip, how are you? It's been a while. Can the O-line get better at run blocking on the interior, or they just continue to get bullied? If not, why don't we attack the edges more? That is exactly my point. It's asking a finesse offensive line to get better at blowing people off the ball, and that just generally doesn't happen. Guys have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, and I would have liked to have seen them either pitch or, quite frankly, run like a counter off tackle. That's what I would have done, and I think that would have worked. Super Devil Juice, are the Chiefs okay until Breeland's return? Yeah, I think they're going to be all right. They're going to have to play around with it and disguise some coverage, but I think they'll be okay. After seeing the Chiefs defense, would you go after a free agency B if available still to get? I don't like anybody that's out there, and I don't think they do either. I think they have faith in their guys, and they're going to ride it out. Teasy, can we discuss the physical the Chiefs were? They beat up the Ravens offense, some hard hitting. Yes. And not just from the safeties. The front was moving them around too. They were attacking in terms of scheme, and they were physical in terms of the players. That's exactly what they have to be every week. They do that, and they're going to be a much more rounded team that is going to have an easier time getting back to that Super Bowl. Possible losses ahead: Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans. I don't see anything in Tampa Bay that makes me think that they're going to lose to Tampa Bay. I'm just not that impressed. Buffalo, I think, is going to be a nasty game, and New Orleans, they have to be smart, but I think they can beat New Orleans pretty well too. Harry, I got you. I know I'm behind. I'm trying to get there. Let's see. Alex, do you think? Okay, I got you before. Sorry, I'm just running behind you guys. When I get behind, I have to play catch up. So that's what I'm doing now. Skipping some of these. Maximo, I thought he played well. I thought that was his best play of the night. I don't know if he lost a step or he's just been given more license to roam. He gave up that touchdown because he didn't do his job, and that's what Marcus does. He takes chances. Why does it seem that the rookie LBs take way longer to develop than most positions? Because they're asking them to really be safeties. The linebacker is a true hybrid on this team. They are not a downhill run stopper type anymore. Tried super chat 3 times, but wouldn't let me. Not sure why. Sorry, no big deal, but thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Rob, seemed like Sammy didn't want to get hit. No, I don't think he did, and I think that's good. That's cautious. Sammy's able to use his body and the way that he cuts and moves to gain yards. There's no reason for him to take hits, especially given the concussion last week. Sometimes when you get a concussion, it makes you more susceptible, especially in a short period of time, but overall as well, to get them more and more often. So I think that was smart, and I want to see him keep doing that. Yeah, Daniel, I've talked a lot about Snead. I have no information for you, but I think it's going to be anywhere from a couple of weeks to could be a couple of months if there's a fracture. Do you think Andy and EB put those plays on tape for the Patriots on purpose? Some of it, yeah. Definitely the Fisher thing, I think they put on purpose because that's going to make Bill have to pay attention to it. Was run attack balanced? I can't say it was 100%, but I think it was in the range that I like. If I go check again, Pat had, let's see here. Pat with 42 dropbacks. There was 31 runs. Some of those were Pat, though. So I'm going to call those not designated runs. Those are going to be dropbacks. So 46 to 26. No, it's still a little too lopsided in the past for me, but it was working, so they weren't going to come off of it. Ivory, how do you feel third and longs putting almost all the DBs on the field and no LBs? I think that can get you in trouble, but I think it's probably playing the numbers to the best of the ability. Ryan, are you worried about Thompson's fumble? Not really. I don't think he should be on the field, quite frankly. I think you need to go with your top 2 guys and stop messing around. I don't like him as a number 2, Ryan. Replacements for Bieniemy. It's going to be Kafka. Straight and simple. He's the next in the pipeline. That's what Andy does. He brings him up through the ranks. No news on Snead. Now the Ravens are off the schedule. Who's the team that you fear the most? I think the Bills or the Bucks. I think the Bills are the most well-rounded and have the quarterback that is most likely to be able to throw bombs with Mahomes. I like Josh Allen, and it looks like he's starting to mature and get better. Eugenius Bear, thank you very much. Appreciate your support. Any chance Reed retires in the next 1 to 2 years and Bieniemy is staying in Kansas City to assume the head coach role? No. I'll be shocked if Andy retires before 70. That would be with 4 years left on Pat's contract. I don't see that happening. No. The only thing I don't want to see is Eric Bieniemy become the Broncos' next head coach, because with Lindsey and Gordon and some good tight ends and a quarterback that he thinks he can develop, he's going to have a good chance at doing just that. Hey, how are you, Patrick? Does Testicular have compromised photos of you, or can I ask? Not that I know of. I've never met Tactics in person, so not unless you doing this is a compromising photo. How do you think Fenton played overall? Saw some nice hits and good coverage. I thought he was pretty sticky. I think particularly he got behind, and I don't know if it was trail technique because I couldn't see the all-22 and what the safeties were doing. I don't know if it was trail technique or he just got beat by a step or two by Hollywood, who's got low 4.3, high 4.2 speed, almost the same as Tyreek and McCole. But he didn't give up and he stayed within reach. And if that ball is slightly underthrown and had been caught, he would have been there in position. I was pretty happy with what Fenton did, especially in attacking weaknesses that we know he has. Why did they opt to kick a field goal with 9 seconds left and 1st and 10 before halftime? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I saw Chris Joe stand around a couple more times. Do you think that Spags will address this issue? Because I find it very concerning. Dylan, I noticed it less against the Ravens than I had the previous weeks. I find it concerning. I don't know that Spags does. My big thing is that there's just no pursuit. If play gets past him or he over penetrates and I just don't see him clean anything up or making that effort. You see Frank hustling down the field. You don't see that. No, Stevie, I don't think Aaron made it tonight. BS Guitars, Ann. I like it. Who do you see giving us our first loss? I mean, right now, after getting past the river, my money would likely be either these Patriots or the Bills. Kyle Thompson, a good play in the middle of the field. Does this get him more playing time? He's already been getting pretty good amount. He's basically, if it's a covered situation, he's the third safety. If it's a box safety kind of thing, it's Dan. So they even played a lot of four safety last night, and I thought that was really interesting. Let's see here. Lolip. Maybe this game we can finally stop people from comparing Lamar to Holmes. I hope so. They really aren't the same style of quarterback, and that's not a slight against Lamar. Lamar's incredible. The Chiefs just kind of have his number. After seeing Snead play, what do you think his ceiling is? Snead could be all pro, man. I'm not going to be bashful about it. To do what he's done as a rookie, the last time we saw that was who? Marcus Peters. And we all know what he's gone on to do and the accolades that he's acquired. I don't see any difference. In fact, I think that Snead as a rookie is making smarter risk-taking maneuvers than Marcus Peters did. And don't get me wrong, people are asking me if I have something against Marcus Peters anymore. My only thing that I have against Marcus Peters is I was a huge fan of his in college. I stomped on the table for them. I wrote articles about them. You guys can go find those if you really want to. I'm disappointed that he didn't buy into the team mentality, and that's why he's not in Kansas City. That's the only reason. He bucked the system a little bit too far. He's a selfish player in my mind, and I'm disappointed that he's not a Chief anymore. Low lip. Why does Lamar always fold like a lawn chair? It's because he can't do what he does naturally. You're down 10, you can't be scrambling forever and try to get yourself back. It focuses offensive coordinators into throwing the ball from the pocket more and trying to do things purely on sight and arm. And I think he's improving in that area, but I think that that's still an aspect of his game that is not as good as what he does physically with his legs. So it's still a work in progress. Are you liking what you see from Taco so far, Brandon? I am. And I think we'll see more from Taco. I was a little higher than maybe I should have been when he first came over, but I do see progression from him already. I think that's a positive sign for a guy who's been in the league a number of years. Rashid, how are you? What did you think of Clyde's spin move? Yeah, right? It's about time. And the other thing that I really liked is he looked good running patterns out wide. They moved him to the outside, which is something he did at LSU that I was really kind of crying for because I wanted to see him do it in Kansas City. He's going to do it more, and it's going to pay off for them. Jerry, is it fair to say that the teams are going to go up against our bracketing Hill when he lined up outside and CH when he's alone in the backfield? But Hill and CH are really the focus for the Ravens. I think so. They elected to leave Queen on Kelsey. Kelsey's the wild card. If they're going to double Tyreek, they generally don't double Kelsey. And if they're worried about CH and they're keeping somebody at the line of scrimmage and they don't double and kind of bracket Kelsey, well, then he's going to eat them up. But usually you don't have enough defenders to double two guys. So it's a pick your poison at that point, and we all saw what happened. Hey, Aaron Morrow made it. Welcome. Give him a hand. The boss mod. Is just me or Tommy's holes look really sloppy for Bucker? I didn't pay much attention to the holds, evidently, because that does not ring a bell to me. I thought his punts were great. But yeah, I'll have to go look. Jacob, how did Wharton play last night? I didn't notice him. He didn't play as much. That's why. Again, run stop is not his forte. They expected more run. They didn't play him quite as much. Pennell ate into his snaps. But when he was in there, I saw him make a couple of plays. I'll try to see if something stands out on the All-22 as well. Jim, how do you feel about the offensive line play last night? I covered this earlier. I'm pretty happy with it, especially for a last-minute lineup change. I thought that went pretty well for them. Credit to Mike Remmers. Does this prove that they were looking past the Chargers? I think it does. Aaron, I think you're 100% correct. I think not only were they looking past him from a player standpoint, I think Andy was just trying to keep everything so plain and vanilla that he didn't give anything away that it left them a little susceptible. And I think that kind of let them down. So I think that's both. So let's see. Will Key see this week? Lucas, I think he'll probably get called up. I don't know if he'll play. How happy were you for the sausage TD? Most foul, I was pretty excited about that. I still am. Eugenius, thank you very much. If the Chiefs had Mahomes 200 years, we wouldn't be speaking English today. Okay. I don't know why. He's a Texan. Would we be speaking Spanish? Maybe I'm confused. I don't know. But thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Russ, what do you think about Reed pulling nice plays out of his hat so they could be used in the playoffs? I don't think there's any. That's the skin off the top of the mountain, as far as I'm concerned, guys. You ever seen that? Ever seen that blow up of an iceberg? How the tip is like this much out and the iceberg's like this? That's Andy Reid's playbook. He let a little bit out, but that's it. Harry, what did I do? Just trying to get sneak question out there. Oh, when truth is okay. Gotcha. Appreciate it. I appreciate the help. You never know what I'm going to miss, you guys. Stu, I see you. Hope you're good. WWW. Okay, like it. Brent or me. What if other teams in the NFL play for their teammates like I see the Chiefs play? It seems some of them are most selfless professional athletes I've ever seen. They really have changed the culture. This is a team that, with what happened in the parking lot a few years ago, Andy's been here 7 years now. The culture is completely revamped. And it's not just Andy. Andy leads, right? And he leads the whole organization. It's not like some coaches that really handle the on-field and the GM's like more of a personality. And Andy Reid runs the whole thing. It all comes back to him. But the difference is that Andy Reid is a guy that relates to his players really well. They relate to him. And I think it's also about the fact that they brought in guys that would bring that positivity to it. And I think that's really key. I really like the direction this team's gone in, and that deserves credit for Brett Veach as well. Harry, you're absolutely right. I want Sammy active. Do you think the offense will stretch the field against the Patriots even more than they did against Baltimore? Excuse me, you guys. Not necessarily. I think that they have a healthy respect for the defensive backfield in New England. You saw what Gilmore did, 2 years ago, last year, whatever it was. The McCourties are still back there, and I think they have a healthy respect for them as well. So I do expect that they're going to do some nifty things. There will be some play action options. There are going to be some times when they do go deep, but I don't think it's going to be a steady diet of let's try to protect long enough to get down the field 40-yard passes and that. I think it'll be opportunistic. Stevie, do you think Andy and Veach will ever try to find a lineman that can block the run a bit better? I don't. That's not where they want to go. That's not where the league is going. I just don't think it's in their interest, to tell you the truth. Do you think that they could have run that reverse handoff to Tyreek again? Possibly. Once a team sees it, that's pretty tough. You want to kind of vamp off of it rather than do it again. Brent, any chance Bieniemy lands with Texans when they fire O'Brien? Right now, there's no one to fire O'Brien. He's actually the guy acting as the GM as well, I believe, unless they have something that I just haven't heard of. I don't know. There are certainly teams that will come calling for Eric Bieniemy that he will not take. I wouldn't. Texans might be one of those. You're still going to call him Pat. Might be risky. Yeah. Miss Mahomes, Randy, I apologize for whatever next time I call him Pat. I'm sure I will. It's not out of a willful disobedience. I appreciate you. Patrick, I will try to always refer to him as Patrick. Cross your fingers, you guys. I might be in trouble. Morbin, did 15 have more passing yards the first half than Baltimore did in total yards in the game? Total yards? I'm not sure. Let me look. 97, 158 rushing. So 247. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. There you go. Good question, Morbin. Thanks for that one. Let's see who's next, folks. If you are new, remember hit the like, the sub, and the bell notification, and also put question marks at the beginning of your question. It really is the only way that I can find them in this really long list. And that's how it appears to me. I don't know what you guys see, but on the software that I use, it's just a list on the side of the screen. And if I don't scroll fast enough, I lose questions. How far is this next creative play? Fish passes the ball to Patrick. Maybe not Fish, but there is a play that they ran Wildcat with Travis Kelce last year where Patrick was out on the wing, lined up as a wide receiver. I do see a scenario where they do something similar and Pat gets the ball back for a pass. Brandon, if Snead continues to make amazing play, what do you think it means to Travarius Ward in his future contract? I think it probably won't have much of an effect. You need multiple corners. I think if he continues to play that way, I think Breezy's kind of acting like a bit of a mentor right now. I think that might be coming to an end. What do you think the Chiefs will do with Noddy long term? I think they can afford Derek Noddy. He's playing great for them in a very specific role, and it's not a role that's going to go get him a huge contract from elsewhere. I think they'll be able to re-sign him at a pretty reasonable deal, and I think he'll be here for a while. I think he and Chris Jones together give you that yin and yang of run defense and pass rush together that they want to hang on to. The real question is going to be, can Colin Saunders get back and start making noise? And I think he can. We'll see what happens with his injury. Wildlife Planet, how are you? If the Chiefs run it back, do you think Sammy will sign a team-friendly deal again because he seems to love it here in Kansas City? I happen to agree with you. I think he might sign a garbage deal because he'll have 2 rings, bonuses, and quite frankly, he doesn't need the money. He said that this season. And Sammy has never been as successful anywhere else as he is here, even as the number 2 receiver. Adam Roach, do you see Schwartz getting a TD like Fisher as a wrinkle in the playoffs? I certainly could. I could also see Assembly do it because I've seen them both catch, and they both can do it. Nathan, with how Dana keeps progressing, do you see him as a Towns replacement starting opposite Clark next year? Possibly. They really like what he's doing, and he doesn't do the drops. He doesn't drop as well. Like Oak 4, he's very similar to Tano. So I think that's really going to be what it is where that competition plays out. Okay, Harry got that one. Let's see. Mike Ford, how are you? How truly effective is it to hand off to the fullback? It's difficult, especially out of an eye or a close line split, to the line of scrimmage. It's not terribly, unless you have offensive linemen that can engage and are strong enough, not nimble, strong enough to blow the defense back. Without that, it's not very useful. The difference is you can use a fullback in a number of ways, and Anthony actually is really good at this. You think of him as a traditional downhill blocking fullback, but he's not. He can play an H. He can play tight end. You've seen him do a number of things, and I think that interior pass was just another wrinkle of using his abilities that are actually, far outside above what a standard fullback can do. The kid Juszczyk in San Francisco, I think is another one that is as much H as he is fullback, and I think that's interesting. What I would like to see him do is just use Anthony out of a split back formation where he's back next to Pat, not lined up so close, where he can actually do something. You pitch it to him outside of a a double tight end lined up in front of you, he's going to have room to roam, and I like that idea. Man, I'm going to have to draw that up now. Good question, Michael. Flexing, why hasn't Ricky Seals-Jones received any actives? I think, honestly, he's got what I have heard is a reported high ankle sprain that they thought was a knee contusion at first. So I just don't think he's 100% healthy. And I think a lot of those high ankles take a long time to heal. So we're going to see what happens with him. But I'm interested as well. I question that, and I'd like to see it. Avery, I think Atlanta would be crazy not to come and try to snatch the enemy. In my opinion, the pieces are there. The discipline is what's needed, and he brings that. I can see that, but Dan Quinn's a disciplinarian too, from what I hear. I mean, the whole Navy SEALs workouts and all that stuff. Like, I think for them, I think Dimitroff would be nuts not to try to come and get him, but I just don't know. I don't know enough about the inner workings of the Falcons and whether it's really going to happen. Is it something that if I'm the enemy, I would want to do? They have Matt Ryan, but how long? You can maybe get another couple years out of him, right? But if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I want somebody that's got a young franchise quarterback that I can build around and a solid running game. I'd like somebody that has a coordinator in place. Although Eric has enough connections, he'll be able to bring a coordinator that he trusts. Watch out. It might be Matt House, you guys. That's going to be interesting. But I agree with you. I think any team would be lucky to have him. I just don't want to see him go to Jacksonville or something silly. You know what I mean? Does the NFL have a plan in AC? AC, I'm not sure. Not sure what you mean, Michael. Ask me that again. Hold on, going back. Aaron Smith, when do you think CH will over the shoulder field again? Next week? The week after? It'll be quick. How do you feel about today about every analyst eating crow today for picking the Ravens over the Chiefs? Yeah, well, hey, at least they did it, right? If they just said, oh, I don't have to admit that I was wrong, well, that'd be a whole different story. That's why I don't really honestly watch most of the networks. I have both Watkins and Hardman on my fantasy team. Who should I start next week against the Patriots? I'd love to tell you Hardman, but Hardman just had a game, so I'd hold off. He seems to kind of peak and valley, so I'm going to say Sammy. This was a tough one because it was explosive play versus feeding the ball to everyone, but I'd lead towards Sammy myself. Michael, does the NFL have a plan in place if a team possibly has to forfeit due to COVID? They certainly do. And one team forfeiting isn't a big deal. They can deal with that. It sucks for that team, but for the league, it's fine. It's when they can't play the game. And then they have to look at rescheduling. And then if the teams don't have the same bye week, that would be the natural way to do it. But if they don't have the same bye week, then you have nothing you can do. It's going to be really troublesome. But I think at the end of the day, that may end up happening. Steve, should we find our own version of Taysom Hill from the Saints? They have him. His name's Jordan Tiamu. Let's see. And don't get me wrong, Jordan played Lamar this last week in practice. That's for a definite reason. Let's see. Nurse Lover, Breland back Sunday. No, he's got another week of suspension. Thanks, Wildlife. We appreciate it. Trying to bring more and more to the channel as we go along, you guys. Do you see Bieniemy barking at the offense on the sideline? I did, and I love it. Especially when you consider that outside of Clyde, everybody else is taller than him. So he's doing this barking, you know what I mean? I love that. He's an old school coach, and I love that guy. We were very close to the same age. He and Dylan McCullough have some ties to some people that I grew up knowing. It's really interesting, and I pull for Eric Bieniemy. Do you think that Clyde will become more of a bell cow running back than Kamara or how Kamara is unique as a hybrid? I think he's going to become more of a bell cow. I think they want to sprinkle other guys in to keep him fresh, and he did get some relief last night. But I think they want to see him on the field a whole lot. Okay, we're going to wind it up here, folks. I think I'm getting down to the end. I appreciate all of you for being here and all the super chats. Thank you very much. Let's see. The last couple of questions are, Marshall, what a game. My question, I am here late, so you may have answered it. Do you think Remmers replaces Wiley? I think he did a good job, but I don't think he automatically replaces him. I think Wiley will come back and take the job back. I think he just might have a shorter leash. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, if anybody else get hurt, that's where Remmers has to go play. Q. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Masterpiece. Do you think Thorne, is he 100? No, I put him at 90%, Casey. I think he's getting there. I think he's just a touch rusty still, and I think he's just a touch hesitant on that knee. But I think that's going to come along. Question: have you ever been into sports cards? No, not me. I don't collect anything really. I've only gotten a jersey as a present. That's just not me. Oh wait, Jack Hall. What do you think of the game plan should be going into the Patriots game because they have a heavier run game and more short passes? They do, but they also have a quarterback that can run. And if you fall asleep on any receiver in this league and let him run past you, you're in trouble. So I want to see them be diligent. I want to see them play a little bit more vanilla like they did against the Chargers. But I got to have that physicality. I got to have everybody gap sound still, and that's going to be key. Okay, got that one. Let's see who's left. Natalie, glad you're here. I know it's not a question, but hey. Let's see. Chiefs Chris. Rock on, man. Have a good night. Jeremy, I thank that. I thank you for that. And Aaron, I appreciate you very much. Thank you all very much. That's the end of the questions tonight. If anybody has any further ones, hit them in the comments below. If you're new, sub, like, bell, the whole 9 yards. We'll have stats. We'll have film. We have stuff coming for next week. The game plan will be out on Friday. Enjoy your week. We have tons coming. Hope you guys like it. We'll talk to you next time.